Injured veterans and supporters gathered in Burnaby today calling on the federal government to reinstate lifelong pensions for soldiers injured in the line of duty. It comes after the Prime Minister vowed that very action 2 years ago, but so far hasn't fulfilled the promise.
A true north, strong and free.
A patriotic starting point for the Walk for Veterans, even though many here feel let down by the country they've served. This event raising money for an ongoing legal battle against the federal government.
We're suing the government, a class action lawsuit on behalf of all veterans to have the lifelong pension reinstated.
It's a fight injured veterans have been waging for years, ever since Ottawa did away with lifelong pensions more than a decade ago, instead offering soldiers hurt in the line of duty a one-time lump payment. For the most seriously wounded, a maximum of $360,000.
I went over an anti-tank mine, sustained a traumatic brain injury from it and damage throughout my spine.
Aaron Bedard was injured during Canada's first tour in Kandahar in 2006. He spent the better part of a decade going to medical assessments and filling out government forms to obtain compensation. He's calling on the government to do better.
I need to see a better security, lifelong security in the form of a pension.
In fact, the federal Liberals did promise veterans that very security, vowing this in the 2015 election campaign.
We will reinstate lifelong pensions and increase their value.
2 years later, it's still not there, though the government has indicated it will provide what it calls a new pension option soon.
And they're talking about an option of a lifelong pension, and nobody really knows what that means. The Prime Minister made it very clear that he was going to return lifelong pensions, and he hasn't done that at this point.
The Department of Veterans Affairs didn't respond to requests for comment on Sunday, so for now, supporters here will wait, watch, and today walk, hoping to step up pressure for change.
A push today to support veterans who are fighting to get back their lost disability pensions. Dozens turned out to Burnaby's Central Park this morning for the first ever Walk for Veterans. A group of veterans is part of an ongoing class action lawsuit. Now, they're calling on the federal government to reinstate the pensions they lost when a policy change was made that was more than a decade ago.
In 2006, the Pension Act was replaced with the new Veterans Charter, and they took away the lifelong pensions and replaced them with a lump sum payment, which is disproportionately lower than what they would have received on the Pension Act. So Equitas was formed to achieve justice for all of Canada's veterans. Well, if it's a lifelong pension is reinstated, then it makes a substantial change. It means that they can get on with their lives without having to worry about all the financial burdens that they do at the moment. So it simplifies. It would simplify the system, because right now it's very difficult for veterans, particularly when they're suffering from PTSD, to navigate their way through the complexity of veteran affairs.
Well, a small group of veterans have been fighting to regain lifetime pensions stripped away by the federal government in 2006. On Sunday, the veterans and dozens of supporters gathered in Burnaby Central Park to gather support for their class action lawsuit.
So Equitas Society was formed in 2012 to raise funds for to cover the disbursement costs for a class action lawsuit against the Government of Canada to have lifelong pensions reinstated.
For Aaron Bedard, the government's refusal to take care of its veterans is personal.
I served in the Canadian Armed Forces from 2002 to 2010. I was on Task Force 106, the first combat tour in Kandahar in 2006. I got injured in the third month going over an anti-tank mine, and I hid my injuries and carried on for the rest of the tour with a traumatic brain injury and damage to my spine. Once I returned to Canada, they pushed me to go get checked out, and it turned out I had traumatic brain injury and issues with my neck and back that they weren't really treating properly. And then I started developing post-traumatic stress disorder, and at least dealing with Veteran Affairs Canada was immediately adversarial and not very upfront with what was available to me. And that was where I quickly discovered that we don't get a pension, and it was turned into a lump sum in 2006 with something called the new Veterans Charter.
The Pension Act was replaced in 2006 with the new Veterans Charter, which took away veterans' lifelong pensions and replaced them with lump sum payments. And it ended up being disproportionately lower than what they would have received on the previous Pension Act.